Eye of the Beholder by Ruth and Nordin, Chapter 17. Mary determined to put the painful experience behind her. Upon visiting her, after a stop at the Craftsman farm in the first week of May, Maureen and Connie notified her that Neil had become an attentive father, which Mary was glad to hear. Mary did express her surprise when Maureen told her that Neil named the girl Emily, for she recalled that Cassie intended to name her after Neil's mother. Maureen just shrugged. He decided that he liked the name Emily more. Mary nodded and went about her business in serving them coffee. To her surprise, she found that she enjoyed meeting with them. Maureen, as it turned out, wasn't so bad after all. The next week, Mary rested in her chair, making a dress to better accommodate her expanding belly. Being in her 5th month of pregnancy, she became accustomed to feeling the baby kick. But it seemed that as soon as she went to get Dave, the baby stopped being active. She waited for a minute, and the baby continued its relentless assault on her belly. She decided to press her luck. Excited, she jumped out of her chair, ran to the door, and flung it open just as Dave was about to enter the house. "Oh!" she gasped in surprise, setting her hand over her heart. "Is something wrong? Should I get the doctor?" he asked, looking concerned. "No, I'm fine," she assured him. "The baby's kicking. It's amazing, Dave. Here." She took his hand and placed them over the bulge in her lower abdomen. He patiently waited for the child to move, and when it did, a wide smile spread across his face. "Oh, that's really something, isn't it?" His eyes met hers. "Is it uncomfortable?" "No. It's strange, but in a wonderful way. I don't really think I can describe it." "It must be one of the things you have to experience," he said. She nodded, and the baby kicked again. He laughed. "He's pretty active in there." He pulled her against him. Bending his head, he kissed her, his joy causing her heart to race. How wonderful it was to be happy with the impending birth of a baby. Her mind unwittingly shifted to Emily's birth. Forcing aside the stab of sorrow, she wrapped her arms around Dave's neck and returned his passion with her own. When their kiss ended, he continued to hold her, seeming to enjoy their embrace as much as she did. The door, still open, gave her a view of Jasper as he barked at the squirrel which darted across the grass in front of the fenced pasture where the horses ate grass. She sighed and clung to her husband. His body, strong and solid, could also be tender and warm, so much like his personality. He eased from her and seemed to be ready to speak, but stopped. He took a good look at her, as if he was seeing her for the first time. "You know, Mary, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." She started to correct him, since she knew that, though she might have some pretty features, she couldn't possibly be beautiful. But there was something in the way he smiled at her that caused her to consider his viewpoint. And in doing so, she realized that he was telling her the truth. When he looked at her, he saw her as a beautiful woman. Beautiful Mary Larson. For the first time in her life, she believed it. His love made her beautiful. His fingers brushed her cheek. "I love you, Mary," he said. "I love you too, Dave." Her heart swelled with joy. Not only did he find her desirable, but he loved her. It was more than she had dared hoped when she came to Nebraska, and here she was, with a remarkable man who treated her better than anyone else who had ever lived. Cupping her face in his hands, he kissed her again, this time deepening it. Wishing to act on her powerful emotions, she asked, "Do you have to go back to the field right now?" "I can hold off on a little while. Do you need me for something?" She licked her lips. The last time that she initiated coming together with him, he had told her to put on the nightshirt. Of course, that was different. She didn't go through the miscarriage this time. Forcing aside her nervousness, she decided to kiss him, hoping he would correctly interpret her invitation. As it turned out, he didn't require further motivation. He shut the door and threw his hat aside. He reached for her and drew her back to him. She couldn't think of a better way to solidify their love than coming together in the most intimate way possible. for she truly felt closer to him than she had ever felt before. The end of May brought sunny and bright weather. The wind gusts cooled the air so that Dave could spend time preparing the fields for planting the corn and beans. He looked forward to the day when he could teach his child about farming. A son would learn more than a girl, of course, but he planned to give her the basics in case she married a farmer. He whistled a happy tune as he hooked Lewis and Clark to the wagon. When Mary emerged in her light blue dress with small white flowers on it, he couldn't help but smile. There was something primitively satisfying in seeing her belly filled with his child. He sauntered up to her and took a pile of baby clothes, bibs and towels that she had made for Neil and Cassie's daughter. Once he heard what happened on the day of Emily's birth, he didn't argue with Mary when Mary said that she wanted to make the girls some clothes. He realized that if she didn't make the baby clothes, then the child most likely wouldn't have anything to wear, since Neil's finances suffered after hail damaged most of his livestock. It would take time before Neil got ahead. "You have a good heart," he softly told Mary as he placed the neatly folded bundle of items on the seat. Turning to her, he took her hand and helped her onto the wagon. "You move well for an expectant woman." "My stomach isn't that big yet," she replied. He hopped up next to her. When she placed the clothes and blankets on her lap, he eased her close to him. Something had changed in their relationship after he told her that he loved her, and realized that she loved him too. Their bond had strengthened. He hadn't thought such a thing was possible, but it was. Her face glowed, and he suspected it had more to do with their love than with the impending birth of their child. She was beautiful. He didn't know why, that he had only thought she was pretty a few months ago. Shrugging, he realized that it really didn't matter. He picked up the reins when Jasper ran over to them and barked. Grinning, he gave her a knowing look. "I think he wants to tag along." She giggled as the dog bounced around the wagon wheels. "Well, he did run down a rabbit and deer the other day. He deserves a reward for his hard work." Unable to argue with her logic, he waved the dog up. Jasper didn't need further prompting. He leapt onto the wagon and rested beside Mary's feet. She reached over and patted him behind the ears. The contented whimpering and wagging tail notified Dave that the dog couldn't be happier if he had gotten a bone to bury in the yard. Chuckling, Dave urged the geldings forward. They spent their time during the ride to town engaging in easy conversation, though the dog was too engrossed in the changing scenery to pay them any mind. "Are you sure Cassie will be at Mrs. Brown's?" Dave asked. "Yes. When Jenny and Sally came over yesterday, they said that Maureen and Connie invited Jenny, Cassie, and Gwendolyn to Maureen's house to discuss what songs to sing at the fair." "You did Jenny a lot of good," he said. "I'm glad you stood up for her like you did." "How did you find out?" She turned to him in interest. He grinned. "I have my sources." Actually, Sally had bragged about it to him, but he decided not to tell her that. "Well, Jenny will be singing a solo," Mary began. "I heard her, and she does have an angelic voice. I can see why the preacher was anxious to have her join the choir." "You've got quite the reputation in town. Everyone praises you wherever I go," he let her know. Her cheeks flushed a pretty shade of red. She reached for his hand and squeezed it. Once they arrived at Mrs. Brown's residence, he asked her if she wanted anything from the mercantile. "Jerky," she replied. His eyebrows furrowed. "Didn't we just get a whole box of that last month?" "I know, but we're out." "What do you do, inhale it?" he joked. She shrugged. "I can't explain it." "I understand. It's one of those cravings women get when they're expecting." He gave her a quick kiss. "I'll be sure to pick some up." "You won't forget?" "No, I promise." How could he forget? He'd seen more jerky in their house for the past 2 months than he had ever recalled seeing in his entire life. To her credit, she continued to make him her delicious meals, so he didn't have to eat the jerky, which was good because if he had had to eat another piece of that tough meat, he would gag on it. Running to her side of the wagon, he assisted her down from it. He halted the dog when it attempted to jump down to go with her. "Let him join me," Mary protested, placing her hand on his arm. He brightens Connie's face. She's been through a rough time since her husband's death. "Are you sure? I don't think Mrs. Brown cared for animals." She changed her mind once Connie laughed at some of the antics he and her grandchildren pulled the last time he came out. And Connie is watching her grandsons today. He nodded. "It's your call. Jasper," he told the dog. "You got lucky this time." The dog panted his agreement as he jumped down and stood by Mary's side. Dave chuckled. "I've never seen a more loyal dog." She told him goodbye and kissed his cheek before turning to the house where Maureen waved her in. He went to the mercantile, making sure to add a box of jerky to the list, and visited Joel at the doctor's office, pleased to know that his younger brother was enjoying his job. "I'm going to post an ad for a wife next year," Joel said, as he organized the new shipment of medicine in the doctor's office. "What was it you asked for to get Mary out here? I know Neil requested someone pretty. He didn't specify anything else." Dave thought for a moment. "I asked for a woman between the ages of 17 and 22 who could cook, sew, and clean. I also said I wanted someone who wasn't afraid of doing chores on the farm, such as milking a cow." It was what he had told Mary when he was pretending to write the ad, so it was just as good as the truth. "Well, I'm not a farmer, so I should ask her for the things you did, except instead of farm chores, I'll have to request someone who understands that I'll be busy with the doctor, no matter what time or day it is." Dave grinned and patted him on the shoulder. "Sounds good." He glanced at the clock on the wall. "Well, I reckon I should get to Mrs. Brown's. I'll see you around." Joel waved his goodbye while Dave exited the small building. As he stopped the wagon in front of Maureen's house, Jenny ran over to him, Jasper loudly barking at her heels. "Dave, thank goodness you're here!" Dave tensed, already not liking where this conversation was going. "What's wrong? Did Mary—" He couldn't bring himself to finish the sentence. "Please don't say she lost the baby," he thought. "Mary's missing." Jenny grabbed his hand and practically dragged him off the wagon. Cassie wasn't feeling well, so she and her mother-in-law took Emily back to Mrs. Craftsman's house. About 10 minutes passed, and Mary realized Cassie left Emily's clothes behind, so she went to take them to her. Jasper tagged along, but when he came back, Mary wasn't with him, and he wouldn't stop barking. "We've been to Mrs. Craftsman's house, but she says that Mary never showed up. Dave, I'm afraid. Where would she go without telling anyone?" He forced his mind off of the dog's insistent barking so he could fully comprehend everything his sister was telling him. A different type of panic washed over him. "Didn't anyone see Mary in town?" "We've been looking everywhere, from here to Mrs. Craftsman's place, and the only thing we've come up with is that she passed by the firehouse. It's as if she disappeared into thin air." She clenched her hands together and winced. He racked his mind over the possible places Mary might go, but his mind came up blank. When the dog's barking rattled his nerves, he shouted, "What?" Satisfied, the dog turned in the direction where the businesses were. "That's the way to Mrs. Craftsman's," Jenny noted. Dave stared at the dog for a long moment. Did Jasper know what happened? As if to answer his unspoken question, the dog barked. "All right," Dave said. "Where did she go?" He figured that he didn't have anything to lose in asking the animal for help. Jasper quickly turned his attention to the road in front of him and ran down the street. Unhooking Clark, Dave got on the horse and followed him to the train station. Why would she come here? As far as he could tell, she didn't have a reason to enter this place ever again. Jumping off the horse, he hastily tied him to the post before running after Jasper into the building. Despite people's protests that a dog should not be allowed loose in there, he joined Jasper, who anxiously barked at him. A quick look around the establishment notified him that Mary wasn't anywhere in sight. In fact, the place seemed deserted, except for a dozen patrons who lingered about, watching him and shaking their heads. Ignoring them, he looked at the dog. "What are you trying to tell me?" As if the dog could talk. With a wave of his hand in the animal's direction, he approached the ticket counter. Surprisingly, this simple action caused the dog to stop his insistent barking. The only indication that something was wrong was his whining. Forcing aside the knot in his gut, he patiently waited for the agent to take care of the 2 passengers in front of him. When his turn came, he asked the old man if a woman meeting Mary's description had bought a ticket. But why would she do that? She hadn't said anything to him about leaving. The man shook his head. I'm sorry, sir, but no one I sold tickets to today matches that description. Shooting an anxious look at Jasper, he realized that the dog honestly believed Mary boarded a train. The animal wasn't capable of making that up. Are you sure? Dave pressed, unwilling to leave his spot. A man grumbled behind him, but Dave didn't care. This was his wife they were talking about. I haven't dealt with an expectant woman today, the man behind the counter insisted. I assure you, sir, that she hasn't been here. But my dog wouldn't lie, Dave argued. Jasper's barking resumed, and this time he bounded towards one of the train station managers. Without thinking, Dave followed him. The middle-aged, bearded man turned to the dog, and then he looked at Dave. Sir, we don't allow dogs in the train station. I apologize, Dave began. He's helping me find my wife. The man raised an eyebrow. Well, he found me instead. Pushing aside his agitation for the man's sarcasm, Dave asked, Have you seen a woman with long brown hair, greenish-blue eyes, and a fair complexion? She's also in the family way. Jenny and Sally hurried to make their way over to him as soon as they entered the station. I see a lot of women with brown hair and white skin, the man responded. Can you tell me what she wore? Of all the details that could slip his mind, it had to be her clothes. A dress, Dave said. The man frowned. I don't know. I don't want to pay attention to what she wears, Dave added. Jenny quickly stood between them. Mary is wearing a light blue dress with matching bonnet. The dress has a white floral design on it. The white flowers are small, but they might look like dots, Sally added. Oh, her! The man's eyes lit up with understanding. She wasn't feeling well. Dave felt as if the wind got knocked out of him. Did something happen to the baby? Did they have to take her to the doctor? So you've seen her, Sally prompted. Yes, the man said. Her husband said she fell asleep because she wasn't feeling well. He paid for their tickets and took her on the train. I helped him with her travel bag. I even brought him a glass of water to give to her when she's well enough to drink something. I'm her husband! Dave didn't mean to shout, but the fact that another man had pretended to be him infuriated him. Jenny rested her hand on his arm to silence him. Are you saying that she was unconscious? She asked the man. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying, he replied. The man who said that he was her husband carried her on the train. The man eyed Dave warily, as if expecting another outburst from him. But no outburst came. Can you describe him? Sally asked. What did this man look like? He was about 6 feet tall. He wore a dark suit with a gold pocket watch. He had dark brown hair. He was clean-shaven. He looked strong. I think he's a farmer. Neil Craftsman. Dave gritted his teeth. Why would Neil kidnap his wife? The man shrugged. I didn't get his name. Can you tell us where they went? Sally persisted. The ticket agent can tell you that. We have a record of all the purchased tickets. He pointed to the ticket counter. Thank you, Sally said with a smile. Dave turned to stump over to the counter where the manager cleared his throat. What? He snapped, not in the mood for small talk. He had to find his wife, for goodness sakes. That dog has to go, the man replied. I'll take him out, Jenny offered. You two find out where Neil took Mary. He didn't wait for further instructions. He directed his attention to the ticket counter, determined that he would find Mary and bring her home. If Neil hurts her, I'll... His first thought was that he was going to kill him. His second thought was that he was going to have him arrested. He shook his head. He could deal with Neil later. Right now, he had to get to Mary. And that concludes Chapter 17.